So for those not familiar with Scania, so we were actually founded in 1891, a bit of a history lesson here. And the thing that I'm extremely proud to work for Scania and I'd like to talk about is the fact that they do promote a continuous culture of innovation. It's something where we've gone from the bicycle right the way through to the truck and the bus and coach range that you see there. So continuous innovation. So this has made Scania one of the leading manufacturers globally, and it's something that in 2019 we actually operate in over 100 countries. So I said earlier, my name is Tanya and I'm responsible for sustainable solutions, and that is specifically in the bus and coach side of our business. So just a few numbers there just to put us into a bit of context. So we have just released our annual report. So we have reached all-time highs in terms of our sales of our trucks and our buses, and our net sales rose to an all-time high. Something that we touched on a little bit earlier was the connectivity of vehicles now, and I haven't mentioned this on this slide, but I would encourage you to click the link and download the report, is that we actually have over 360,000 connected vehicles worldwide now. So those vehicles are all driving around, collecting information, and they're helping form our decision making and how we're going to put our products to market going forward. I think that's really important. I think it was Christopher mentioned it earlier about the connectivity of vehicles. So that's happening behind the scenes. So we have heard a lot today about the reason why this is happening, and I think sustainable transport is an urgent thing that we're all looking at. And the reasons why we're doing that, particularly in the bus industry, is congestion and urbanisation. So for us, that's a huge challenge. And then from the air quality side of things, that is also a massive issue in buses. From a heavy-duty perspective, we are 95% powered by oil. So obviously that's a huge issue for us when it comes to energy security. And then, as the Baroness was speaking about earlier, we've got to meet the Paris Agreement. So all of these drivers here are the things that are the kind of reason why this shift for us is huge, is an urgency. So when we talk about heavy-duty transport and we talk about sustainability, the way that we design our solutions is based on these three pillars. So all of the things that we look at for every application that we work with, they have to be low carbon, they have to be clean, and they have to be commercial. So we've talked a lot about the TCO and about the fact that things have to come into the commercial side of things. So for us, if it's not profitable, it's not sustainable. So we have to look at those three pillars together to make sure that we come out with a green solution. So when we talk about different solutions for different applications, I mean, we've heard a lot about the different types of tackling the messy problems that we've got with different types of technology. For inner city buses, for example, we hear a lot now about electrification. And for the smaller kind of short routes, like your Putney High Streets, electrification is the right solution for that. But then we also need to take into consideration the suburban routes. So for me and the area that I work in, UK bus registrations, 2/3 of those are double-deck buses. So for us to be able to tackle that problem, we're again back into heavy-duty transport. We're not in lightweight, short, single-deck buses. So again, different applications demand different solutions. I think another important thing we need to talk about here is where the emissions are within a city. So when we look at heavy-duty transport fuel use and we look at a city, we often don't look at the bigger picture. So for us, when we look at this, we have a key here where actually we look at key one is to optimise and procure those whole systems so that we don't just deal with one problem. And then key two is to, I think one of the other speakers said it earlier, is to actually put some functional greenhouse gas demands in place. So at the moment we are dealing with the inner city 25% of emissions, but we're not dealing with the whole bigger picture, so the 75%. So the bit that I'm here to talk about today, and the bit that makes me smile every time I see these pictures, is what we've been doing with gas buses in the UK. The question is, why are bus customers in the heavy end going for gas? So we've got three really good examples here of where we've actually implemented gas buses in the UK, and this is happening today. So on the far right there, your right, you've got Metrobus. So Metrobus is a new system that's being rolled out in Bristol. which we've just put 21 vehicles in. They've actually got a Pathfinder vehicle as well, so they have 22. Now, those vehicles will operate on a BRT system, so it's an efficient, smart transport system, and eventually all 3 routes on the Metrobus system, be 110 vehicles, will all run on biogas. In the middle, you've got Reading, so Reading Transport. They've actually got a mixture of fleets, so they've got 35 single decks running on biogas. They've got 5 of our older double decks, and they've also had 17 of the new double decks delivered. So again, they've got a blended fleet, 57 vehicles of biogas, running on biogas, and then they've also got hybrid, electric, all the other kinds of powertrains as well in their depot. And then moving on to Nottingham, who are our most recent gas bus customer. So Nottingham are running, at the moment, 53 double-deck vehicles around Nottingham, and they've just ordered another 67. So Nottingham will actually have 120 double-deck gas buses operating in Nottingham by the end of the autumn. So the other thing to mention here is that all 3 of these customers have all got their own infrastructure. So I know Gas Alliance are here in the audience, and they are one of our partners that provides that infrastructure. All of these customers have installed their own infrastructure, and they all have third-party access. So the great thing that can happen here with these customers is that actually there's nothing stopping the local council running their RCVs and sharing that infrastructure and sharing that resource and that fuel. I know that Robert talked a little bit about innovation from waste. Something that is what we do in the bus industry is we actually run the gas buses on biogas. So I've got a Swedish example in the slides. You will hopefully get a copy of the slides. But all of the bus operators in the UK actually get an incentive to run on biogas. So all of those customers that you saw there that are running gas buses are running them on biogas from waste, farm waste, food waste, wastewater treatment. And the way that that works is that they buy their gas and then they pull it out the grid as natural gas, but they displace it elsewhere by buying green gas. So the circular economy situation that we talked about earlier and the displacement of emissions, I think, is really important and a point that we need to bring in here. I have put on there that those buses are actually certified through the low CVP, so they do deliver a well-to-wheel saving of around 84%. So they are extremely clean. I mean, there are other examples in California and America where they are displacing carbon. You know, their deficit up to 270%. I just wanted to go a little bit back to Metrobus because I think that system is something that we should talk a little bit more about. So the Metrobus system will be a BRT system. And I think the really important thing about that is that it's doing all kinds of other things as well as putting in a sustainable bus with a sustainable fuel. It's actually encouraging sustainable transport. So that system is actually alleviating issues with congestion, with cars on the road. It's encouraging more public transport. So all of the things that that's offsetting are really important to this conversation and where we need to get to with zero net emissions. So the logistics and the efficiencies that are happening with that system and the contribution from the biofuel, everything together gives us a smart solution. A little advert for what's happening in Stockholm. So something that we're doing in Stockholm in June is we are actually showcasing what they've done in Stockholm with their emissions with all of the biofuels that they've been using. So there is actually a public transport conference over there that will dive deeper into all of the things that have happened in Stockholm with biogas, bioethanol, biodiesel, and basically all of the city's fleet in Stockholm are running on renewable fuels. So I think the message here is that this can actually be done today and that we should be doing this now. So I think the road to Paris that we keep talking about definitely goes via Stockholm. So I think if we can, we should all go there and see what they've done and actually bring that back and start implementing it here. So my conclusions then, based on all the other things that we've been talking about today, are that heavy-duty vehicles are tools to make money in a very competitive business, and all the low-carbon solutions that we have need to be cheaper than diesel. There is no silver bullet, and for us, waste to fuel is definitely a no-brainer. We do need to see more functional greenhouse gas demands and incentives on that well-to-wheel basis, so like the bus industry have had with the buses. We do need to procure whole systems rather than just sections of the system. And the fact that the commercial solutions are available today, so we just need to get on with it and get them delivered. Thank you.